This is a Best Syndication video production. On October 3rd, 2007, I traveled to the new Victorville City Hall and County Center for the opening ceremonies. At that time, I interviewed San Bernardino County 1st District Supervisor Brad Mitzelfelt and Victorville Mayor Terry Caldwell. This is that interview. Mayor Caldwell, the 395, they were looking at building the freeway through the 395, and they've just canceled the alternative routes. And it's possible. Is it possible that they'll build the 395 freeway on the current 395 route? And if that is so, would that affect the buildings that you have got around that area of the highway, the 395 highway?
The current alignment of 395 primarily impacts the city of Atlanta, and Victorville's position has been to pretty much defer to Atlanta's view of what is acceptable to their community. That being said, there's probably less disruption if you stick with the current alignment than if you try to go further west. You cannot come further east with an alignment on 395 because you're right into George Air Force Base. And certainly to take away a part of the economic opportunities of that base for realignment of 395 just would not make sense. My reading of the tea leaves is that it probably will stick pretty much with the existing alignment. There are some buildings that the city of Atlanta may lose, but it's a wide right-of-way through the heart of Atlanta, and I think it is probably the only real hope of seeing 395 ultimately improve the freeway status.
Okay, one more question. We've covered water, traffic, and what about crime? Do you guys have any plans? Jessica's law might push these sex offenders into the rural areas, which is a problem for a lot of the high desert, Brad. Well,
you know, the high desert supported Jessica's law because we needed the protections. We needed the lifetime GPS monitoring of offenders. We needed the residency restrictions within 2,000 feet of a school or a park. And we needed tougher sentencing for sex offenders. We did go into it knowing that there was an argument that was being made that it could bring more sex offenders to the desert, looking for wider open spaces so that they can comply with the residency restrictions. We knew that and are fully cognizant of that as a risk. We haven't yet seen that, but now that the state of California is implementing Jessica's law and is forcing up to 2,000 sex offenders to relocate because they're living within that distance, I felt that we had to give the Sheriff's Department more resources to assess this threat and to make sure that we have a handle on new sex offenders coming in. So at my request, the Board of Supervisors approved a new Jessica's Law sex offender tracking unit. It's a detective and a program coordinator that will be working with all the agencies in the county and other law enforcement agencies in the county to ensure that that when sex offenders come to the area, we know where they are, that they're registering under Megan's law, and that they're in compliance. And our Sheriff's Department, our District Attorney, have done a great job with a 95% compliance rate for Megan's law registration, which is 20 percentage points better than the state average. So our county already has a reputation as being vigilant on sex offenders, and we want to keep it that way.
Mayor Caldwell, what about the gang problem up in the high desert? What's Victorville's plans on that? Nice houses with, you know, some tough elements.
We have been aggressive in adding more money to our contract with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department for law enforcement, with dollars specifically focused on creating gang units that work the gangs hard in the city. The City Council is unanimous in its position, and we've conveyed that personally to Gary Penrod, the sheriff of this county, as well as Captain Mark Taylor, that you tell us as professional law enforcement people what you need to get the gangs out of Victorville. We'll provide the resources to make that happen. We've also gone into court and got a gang injunction ordinance passed. It's now on the books, and the gang unit is vigorously enforcing that injunction. And what I'm told is that the heat is reaching a point where the gangs find it very unattractive to remain in Victorville. Our goal is to run them out of town.
This has been a Best Syndication video production. Visit bestsyndication.com.